Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Art of Being a Woman. I'm your host, Courtney, and this week we are going to discuss the art of increasing excitement in your life. I am super excited to dive into this week's topic because excitement is just such a great feeling to experience. And I know personally that when I feel excitement for life, I sort of feel unstoppable. I feel like I can do anything I set my mind to. And I also feel like the simplest things are so enjoyable, almost like I'm a main character in a really good movie with a happy ending. And that could just be me, but I feel like we all can agree on a certain level that excitement feels really good on a deep soul level. So, I want to discuss it more in depth with you guys so that we can really tap into this energy whenever we feel like it. Sometimes I feel like it's not obvious to us that we can really influence how we feel on a daily basis. I know that for me personally, not too long ago, I always thought that things outside of me determined my emotional state. So if things were flowing in my life and nothing was stressing me out or time sensitive, maybe, then I was happy and I was relaxed and I was calm. But if things were overwhelming, then I would be frustrated, agitated, so on and so forth. But the truth is, even when things are going on outside of us, even when life is happening to us, we still have enough power to influence how we feel. And I really want to focus on that in this episode, but in season two of this podcast, because it's a power move and it really can shift how you feel about yourself and it can shift how you live your life and you go about making the most out of your life. I also want to discuss how to increase excitement in our life because when we feel excited for our life, we naturally feel more motivated to grow. And growth is honestly the whole point of living. Think about every living thing on this planet. It goes through a process of evolution. So the same applies to us. Of course, we are all meant to grow in different ways because we all have different lives, different gifts, different lessons to learn, and different purposes. But ultimately, this whole podcast is centered around self growth. And I think excitement is such an underrated part of that because many times when life feels stuck and boring and just repetitive, like we're stuck on a loop, it's very easy to feel at the mercy of it all. But the truth is, we only usually experience those phases in our life because we stopped focusing on our own growth, our own evolution, and we're just coping. And I think we all deserve to do more than just cope with the way that life is and who we are, because we can really feel so much more if we truly want to. Also, there are so many ways to create excitement that we have to be really careful because not all excitement is actually good for us. I like to call it cheap excitement because there's ways that we can feel inspired because it gives us that quick hit of dopamine, but it's short lived and it's not self sourced. For example, I'm currently going through this right now. There's a new show that just came out that I've been really excited to watch. And I've mentioned this a few times, but I'm not really a big movie person. I'm not a big TV person. Maybe I just have a hard time attending for a long time to something that I'm not fully invested in. But for some reason, this show caught my attention and it's called Off Campus, by the way. And I'm not gonna lie, it definitely made me look forward to finishing a lot of the mundane tasks I have to complete because it's new. And it's not every day that I get excited to watch something. But the truth is, it doesn't take me further in life. If anything, it takes me further away from life because it takes me away from things that actually matter, like being present with myself and how I feel, being present with those that I love, connecting with each and every one of you on social media. There's better, more fulfilling ways to experience excitement. So let's just get straight into the first question. Why is it important to feel excitement for your life specifically? Not just life in general, but your life, your body, your interests, your path, your contribution, your experience of being you, your movie. That's how I really like to look at life. Life is a movie, and you are the main character. It sounds self centered, but it doesn't have to be. Just because you're a main character in a movie doesn't mean that you are inconsiderate of the other people around you, unless that's the type of main character you're deciding to be. But ultimately, your life is all about you. Everything that you're experiencing is a reflection of you. It's a reflection of your thoughts, it's a reflection of your feelings, and it's a reflection of the choices that you're making. There's many, many important reasons why we should aim to feel excitement for our lives. Number one, it gives you more energy, more life force. You ever meet those people that are just high on life? They're very excited to do very simple things, and it's almost giving that they drink a lot of caffeine, and you're just wondering, why are you so pumped for life? Yes, that is what happens when you feel excitement for your life. You don't need caffeine to be pumped and ready to tackle your day. Creating that excitement for yourself is your caffeine. That is what gives you energy. And this is something that I have personally experienced over the past 6 months, at least. I quit drinking caffeine, I think more than 6 months ago, but I was more strict and intentional about it starting on my 26th birthday because I realized that when I'm drinking coffee every morning, it's giving me this fake boost of energy that I end up having to pay for when it wears off because then I experience a crash and I feel so tired and groggy and sluggish, even when I'm getting a great night's sleep. And I really didn't like that. Plus, on the days where my body genuinely was tired, I would drink caffeine to override my own fatigue, and that would disconnect me from how my body was actually feeling. I decided that I'd rather feel the discomfort of feeling tired on those days where I didn't get a good night's sleep so that I feel more motivated to prioritize my sleep. But that's just me. I'm honestly very happy that I don't rely on caffeine for energy. It actually feels very, very good. I didn't even think it was possible. I feel like it's a very adult thing to be drinking coffee, matcha, but think about it. Kids don't drink any of this stuff, and they have so much energy. Yes, they are definitely sleeping more than adults, but we're adults. We're in control of how much we're sleeping. So maybe consider that. Consider what it would feel like to generate so much energy and excitement for life that you don't even need a cup of coffee to get through your day. Another reason why it's important to feel excitement for your life is because it motivates you. It motivates you to aim for your highest potential. Sometimes we're not really motivated to grow that much. We like to grow within our comfort zone, meaning slowly and in a predictable fashion, but that limits us. And why should we limit ourselves? Why wait a long time for change that we can really experience a lot sooner? Why not achieve our highest potential sooner? I know that life is a journey of growth. We will always be growing as long as we're living. So I'm not saying that you will reach a point when you're young where you've achieved your highest potential and now you can just relax. No, that's not how life works. But at least you can enjoy life from a very high version of yourself for way longer. That's what motivation really does. And motivation in itself makes you excited for life. When you're motivated to do something, to accomplish something, that gives you excitement for life. It gives you a why. Why do I do the things that I do? Why do I care so much about the things that I do? That's fuel, that's energy. And lastly, it's important to feel excitement for your life because it makes you more present in your life. When we're not excited to be us, to wake up in the morning, we're not present because we don't want to be here. And it's not that we don't want to be alive. I hope not. But it's that the present moment isn't interesting. It's not inspiring. It's not fueling us enough for us to really care and focus, which I get. Anytime I'm not feeling excitement in my life, I completely detach from the present moment. I either start thinking about the future and how I want it to look, or I'll think about the past. And of course, it's okay to think about the past and the future from time to time when you are consciously choosing to do so, not when your mind is pulling you there. But when we do this, when we avoid the present moment, we miss out. We miss out on real happiness because there's no happiness when we're thinking about the future, and there's no real happiness when we're thinking about the past because they don't exist. So ultimately, you need to feel excited about your life. I'm not trying to be cheesy and cliche and just say, be grateful that you woke up in the morning and just be excited that you can breathe in air. No, be excited to be you. Be excited to live in your movie of your life, not just the concept of life. Be excited to have your personality. Be excited for your journey and where you feel like life is taking you or where you want your life to take you. Because ultimately, we are the drivers of our life. Of course, life will happen and we can hit some dead ends or detours, but ultimately, we're in charge. So we decide, do we want to be in an exciting movie or do we want to be in a boring movie? Honestly, the goal is not to build a life that looks exciting to other people. That does not work. The goal is to build a life that feels alive to you. Everyone can live an exciting life. You don't need to be a superstar, movie star, whatever you consider to be exciting. Everyone is able to live an exciting life because everyone is unique. Everyone has a unique purpose and a unique highest potential. It's just a matter if we're willing to tap in, meaning become conscious of what that potential might be and strive for it. That is the point. Next, I want to talk about how we can actually go about finding out what actually excites us because it's normal to get stuck at this part. Maybe you know that you want excitement in your life. You admit it. Life has been routine, repetitive, boring, and you don't like it. You have nothing to look forward to. I get it. I've definitely had phases in my life where life felt very routine and a little too predictable. The last time I felt like that strongly was before I ever applied to OT school, which I've spoken about a few times on this podcast. If you are new here, I'll just briefly fill you in. I currently work as an occupational therapist, and on the side, I do this podcast. I post on social media, Instagram, threads, because I love to write. And honestly, occupational therapy was never my passion. Before I ever applied to graduate school, I was working as a behavioral therapist, and I enjoyed my job. I enjoyed the families I was working with. It was very fulfilling. If you work with kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Kids are just so loving, so inspiring, and so full of life. And I really felt fulfilled. I felt purposeful, if that makes sense, whenever I would work with kids and families. But I knew that I was settling. I just didn't know what to pursue professionally. Nothing excited me. All the suggestions that people would recommend to me, I didn't feel it. It didn't click. And luckily, I trusted myself in that way. I knew that if something didn't click, if I pretended to be excited about something that didn't excite me just because it would make me money or it would give me a certain lifestyle as an adult, I wouldn't actually feel fulfilled. I wouldn't actually be happy or excited for life. I was truly curious about what would make me excited to go to work every day. I knew that my goal ultimately was to be excited for my professional life. I didn't want to pretend when it came to my career. But luckily, I have very wise parents, and they advised me that it doesn't hurt to build a solid foundation for yourself so that when you do figure out what excites you, you have the means to do it and you can do it freely. So that's when I got out of that autopilot, that routine that I was stuck in for a few years, honestly. And my life truly became very exciting from that point on. And it's continued. Going to school opened my social life up. I met so many amazing, different women. I then graduated, and my OT career surprisingly ended up feeling very fulfilling to that side of myself that loves working with children. And also, I ended up starting a podcast, which seems a little far fetched and a stretch from OT because how does one lead to the other? But the truth is, because I went to OT school, I was forced to present a lot of information publicly. And public speaking has always been a big fear of mine. I speak about that a lot on this podcast. So, through going back to school, I ended up realizing that it's not that scary to share my thoughts and feelings with the world. And that is what ultimately gave me that boost of confidence to start a podcast. I don't want to make this episode too much about me, but fast forward, I have now figured out what my purpose is. At least that's what I believe. And it's Kabbalistic astrology. I ended up discovering both Kabbalah and Kabbalistic astrology not too long ago, but I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not started the podcast. It was only through me pouring into working on myself and being more expressive with the world that I ended up discovering like minded individuals. Now, back to the question, how do we find out what actually excites us? Pay attention to what piques your interest. I would even say pay attention to what your algorithm is showing you. And no, I'm not talking about the funny videos that are just random jokes or people being hilarious. I mean, what is your feed consistently showing you? Is it fitness routines? Is it recipes? Is it book recommendations? Is it fashion influencers, lifestyle influencers? And really get curious about why that's on your feed. Get curious about the things that interest you because those are clues, the things that you can pour your energy into, and it almost feels effortless. That's guiding you towards something that can actually take you very far and can possibly fulfill you for a very long time. For me, before I even started this podcast, I was listening to so many podcasts all the time. And it didn't click at first. I was just listening to them because I had a long commute to work. So I figured I cannot be listening to the same few songs for an hour. And that's where podcasts came in. And I ended up realizing, like, I think I can do this. I think that would be fun. I think that would be exciting. You can also really consider things that you've always naturally been interested in. Because I know that social media is a more recent thing for many of us. What were you interested in when you were young? For me, I was always interested in astrology ever since I was little, probably around 5 years old. Anytime my mom had a People magazine, I would just skip to the last page and they would talk about each zodiac sign. And honestly, the messages were a bunch of BS, but I would eat it up. Any clues, any insight regarding astrology, I would absorb. I was so curious to know about everyone's sign, and I would remember everyone's sign because it was just naturally interesting. So, really think back to what you were always preoccupied with as a kid. What did you do in your free time before your phone distracted you? Those are really big clues. You can also ask yourself, what do you always seem to have the energy for? Some people always have the energy to bake. That really excites them. And that's a clue. Perhaps you could start sharing recipes of your own. Some people always have the energy to read. Perhaps you should start writing. Maybe you can write your own novel. And also, you can ask yourself, what makes you want to learn more? What makes you want to improve? Sometimes we can be interested in something, but we're not motivated to do anything about it. For example, maybe we love seeing recipe videos, but we don't make any of them because that might not be what actually excites us. So sit with these questions and answer them, of course, and watch how the answer starts to reveal itself to you. Once you figure out what actually excites you, I definitely recommend you start studying and researching on people that are doing these things for a living. So, if it excites you to bake and to share your recipes with the world, start researching influencers that do just that and see if that lights something up within you. Obviously, don't study other people so that you can copy word for word what they're saying, their style. It's just to gather clues so that it activates you and it inspires you. And you can see if it feels aligned. Can you envision that sort of future for yourself? Ultimately, the things that give you real excitement are going to give you more energy. They're not going to drain your energy. That's how you'll know the difference. So make sure to check in with yourself on that. Before we move on to the last question, I just want to emphasize that the things that truly excite us are things that ultimately our soul is craving growth in. Okay, last question. How do we continue increasing that excitement and what do we do when we feel blocked from it? Honestly, this is very simple. In order to continue increasing that excitement we feel for those things that interest us and make us feel more connected to ourselves and our life, is by being consistent. You have to pour into it every single day. It doesn't have to be for a long time, it can be for 5 minutes every day, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever is doable for you. But aim to expand the more you get comfortable with your commitment. So let's keep that baking example. If baking truly excites you, then you can commit to it by finding one new recipe every single day. And then perhaps by the end of the week, you decide on which recipe you find to be the most exciting and you make it. Once that becomes routine and easy, expand. Make 2 recipes a week. And once that gets easier, consider recording yourself or consider taking pictures or making yourself your own cookbook that you share with family and friends. You just want to really be consistent and expand. That's really all it is. Obviously, you have to make space for this. It will take time out of your day, but it will be worth it. Allow yourself to evolve with it. When you're noticing that it's starting to feel routine, you know that's your sign to take it further because excitement needs expansion and it also needs movement. So make sure that you're taking action on these things. You're not just in the planning stage of whatever it is that excites you. Now, what to do when you feel blocked from whatever it is that excites you? There are a few reasons why you might feel blocked. I'll go through a few that I wrote down and feel free to write them down yourself so that when you're experiencing this, you can act accordingly. So, first, you might be putting too much pressure on yourself. Perhaps you're feeling perfectionistic about whatever it is you're excited about. You can also be overthinking too much about what's exciting you. You can have this fear of being bad at what you're doing, fear of being seen, fear of ruining whatever it is you're creating because you're making it too serious. You're making it a little too performative when it's supposed to feel light and it's just supposed to give you an opportunity to explore in your own life and really connect with yourself in a fun way through play. Sometimes we use it to prove something to ourselves. That's a sneaky one. And sometimes we're using it as an escape. When other things in our life are not going well, we can just pour into whatever it is that's exciting us, but then we're not facing life. We're not living in the present moment, which is always key. And when that happens, we have to ground ourselves in reality, focus on the things that we don't really want to focus on so that whatever it is that excites us can feel light again. Don't assume that when you're feeling blocked by something that excites you, that you need to throw out the whole project. don't assume that you've outgrown this excitement. It is very normal to feel blocked from things that excite us. It is very normal to feel creatively stuck. In my opinion, it is usually just a strong signal to check in on other areas of your life and see how they feel. Are they feeling light? Are they feeling heavy? Have you neglected other areas of your life for the sake of your excitement? Make sure that it's balanced. Balance is really key in life. And that doesn't mean that it's easy. I'm not balanced all the time. I think balance is something that you constantly work on. And if you're not working on it, things easily get out of balance. So don't be hard on yourself. Make it light, make it fun, but be conscious. Be intentional at the same time. The things that excite us should support our overall quality of life, not become the place we hide from life. Ultimately, increasing excitement for your life is about discovering what makes your life feel meaningful to you. It's what makes you feel alive. It's what makes you feel interesting to yourself. It's what makes you love your movie that you're living in and then pouring into it consistently enough that it keeps growing with you. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. I didn't realize how passionate I was about creating excitement in your own life until I really started speaking about it. But I think that's a great thing to be excited about. Thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to this episode. It means so much to me. If you enjoyed it, please rate this podcast and share it with a loved one, a friend, anyone that you think would benefit from it. I would really appreciate that. Also, feel free to comment on this episode, your thoughts, your feelings, or you can message me privately on Threads and Instagram. I would love to hear from you. I usually reply within 24 to 48 hours. With that being said, I love you all. I hope you have an amazing, exciting week. Until next time, bye for now.